And we are live with episode 140 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what is going on? How we doing, man?
Living the Colorado dream. I was out on my
Mm,
balcony today. It was 60 something degrees, and look at the forecast. It's going to snow tomorrow.
yep.
So, that's how we roll here in Colorado. The roofer's nightmare. We try to figure out how to survive when you got crazy weather all the time. But no hail yet. But man, living the dream. Beautiful day. Hustling, changing lives, coaching, helping people, serving all day. Can't get any better. And every once in a while, I poke my head onto Facebook, or I try to pay attention to what's going on in the roofing industry. And I can't get on anything in the roofing industry without hearing, seeing, checking out something from our special guest today, Mr. Chuck Thokey. This guy is the man. He's all over the industry. He's one of the top sales coaches in our space and in the home improvement business. And man, we finally were able to track him down. We had to go through his agent and write a big check
hmm
and sign an NDA, like
Good.
all these things. I'm just kidding, man. Chuck, welcome. We're glad to have you, man. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
taking
Randy.
time out of your day, my friend.
Absolutely, man. I watched you on the American Contractor Show with John Dye, and everybody there was asking for autographs for their wives, man. You are a true celebrity.
I love those guys at Balance. They're fun. Every time you go visit them, you can't help but just want to stay all day long.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they
man.
are great hosts. They are great hosts for sure, man. But no, thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited, man. And today we're gonna be talking about winning the retail roofing sales game, man. And we are excited about this one. This is gonna be a great show for sure. But before we dive in, we always like to go, story time, right? Story time with Randy and Nick. And now we got Chuck. All right. So Chuck, man, what's your background? How did you get into the roofing space? Tell us your story. What's your background?
So my background is more in aerospace. I was an aerospace engineer, and I worked with Learjet, worked with Raytheon, Cessna, quite a few companies. And once 9/11 hit, got thrown into sales. So long story short, got into sales, and I got into home improvement sales through bath fitter. So bath fitter was much smaller back then, and they needed someone to take off. And when they came into the States, because they're from Canada, not too many people know that bath fitter was actually bath magic, or magique, as Canada would say. And once we got them to where they needed to be, I got approached by the Crane Group, who owns Able and Mr. Roof. They needed someone to come in and to really shake things up and to really get them moving as well, which is exactly what I did. And then now I'm with you.
Well, so tell us your background with Able, right? So tell us some of the numbers of what you were able to accomplish there, because it's pretty impressive. Tell us about the growth and success you had there.
Well, the growth there, so it's hard for me to say, hey, this is what I did. There's over 300 employees there. I mean,
Yeah.
they have some phenomenal people. I mean, you have Rob Starr and Michigan, who is an absolute mastermind at marketing. He really brings the leads, even though he's a GM. He really understands it. He's also where things got started, where we started to private label our shingles. I got to watch what I say there, but private labeling the shingles was a big part of that growth. Working with people like Ico and Malarkey.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where a lot of the rubber really hit the road with me, was when I first got in there, and I was told that they had enough market share, they couldn't get any more. They didn't know if they could grow much more. And I knew that was false, especially as big as they already were. I mean, they were massive when I got there. But they were closing about 20%. And the biggest issue was that, they still thought that they were a roofing company. And it's funny when you tell somebody that is that successful, it's like, well, the problem is you still think you're a roofer. And they're like, well, we are roofers. That's what we do. I'm like, no, I mean, we need to get it to that next level, which everybody knows. It's no secret when you say, I need to take you to the point where you're a sales and marketing organization just happens to sell roofs.
Mm-hmm.
But then we need to go to number 3, which is now we need to make you a training organization.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's so fun to watch the sales reps, just whether they stay there or leave, and they become some of the best sales reps in the country because of the fact it's not just because of me, but it's just the fact that we turned that into a training organization. I mean, it might as well have been Abel and Mr. Roof University, because I mean, it's you walk into that place, you're being trained on something every day.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, Randy, what do you think about that, man?
That, I mean, we're in one location, but the volume we do, we compete pound for pound with anybody in the country. We have one location. We're not in multiple spaces, and pound for pound, that's exactly how we've been able to be successful is we figured it out like a handful of years ago. Like, if we want to scale our business, we have to become a sales organization that happens to be pretty good at installing roofs. But I love that third layer that you just mentioned is training. We started creating our own trainings and hiring people and coaches and sales trainers and learned all these different things and took all that information and created our own program to where we can hire and train people all the way across the board, not just sales. Okay. We're going to focus on sales a lot. And that's key number 1 is you got to be able to hire and train salespeople. But we have the ability to bring on an admin. We have a whole training for them. You bring on someone in accounts payable, training, someone in accounts receivable, training, someone who's pulling permits, training, someone who's doing in a production department, production coordinator, a service technician. We're working on now building out our service training. Like we've been building a big training facility in the back of our shop, but we can bring on someone and teach them how to weld TPO and how to do, flashings and how to do all that. So yes, I love that you mentioned that, because I'm a result of that mindset of how do we figure out how to bring great people, get them an opportunity and train them to be successful. It's the whole law of, one of my laws of hiring is, hire character and train skills. And if you can apply that across your whole organization, the sky's the limit.
And Randy, there's a lot of companies out there that go, yeah, we train, then we train some more. And they say, great. So you have a list of key competencies that everybody needs to know. And then the way that, we don't have, then you don't have training. They think that it's just because it's all up in here. It's the get hit by a bus theory. If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, who's taking over? They should be able to get in the files, pull out the training, and train the next person.
Yep. So you have to identify all the competencies. Like, so every position in the business has all their duties and responsibilities and KPIs for every position. And then as we've grown our business, one person that was doing these 2 roles, we added somebody, split the role, and that person who used to do it was able to use that to train the next person. And that same concept goes all the way down the board. And then we got to a point where we just started Loom videoing everything. We just, okay, you want to learn this SOP? Here, press play, share the screen, click here, click here, click here. Now it's all on video. And that's, that's the concept behind what we do with our company and our academy.
And I love the fact that you're using the videos. Now, using the videos, most companies don't use them correctly. They really think that a new guy comes in, they sit him down. It's like, this isn't Walmart. You don't sit him in front of the TV and push play. It's they go through those videos and then they get trained afterwards. But here's where the true magic of those videos come in. So let's say 2-3 months down the road, you're going to ride with this person. And he did a great entry and warm up. He did very, very well through the presentation. But however, when he gets into his price presentation, maybe he fell short or she fell short. So when you're on the way back, say, hey, there's a couple of things we're going to work on. So I'm going to send you an email. And inside that email are a couple of links. And those links are videos of things that you need to work on. So there's one way of using those videos of that. I'm going to train this person, but then I'm also going to use it to just touch up where I need you to. So, tonight I need you to get into these videos. It's going to be the video of how to present the price. and then I need you to take the exam at the end. I know you took it when you first came here, but I need you to take it again. And then tomorrow, come in around 7 o'clock, and then we're going to work through it. Hopefully we're done by 8 so you can get out to the rest of your day. But again, it's that constant usage of the videos rather than, okay, I've got this big list of videos that no one's going to watch after the first time they get trained.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great feedback for sure. We can all improve on that a little bit, I think, for sure.
I feel a connection between you two already. I'm feeling the vibes right here. But now, okay, so what about, okay, so, we're going to talk more about training. I want to talk about the ongoing training and progression for sure as well. But one thing before we got too deep into this part of the conversation is, you hear all the time, man, we just can't find good people. Chuck, man, we just can't find good people, man. I tried everything.
Man, you're singing to the choir, man. I'd love to sit here and say, man, I just hired 20 people today. I tried to hire people today. It's an ongoing siege, and you can't. Here's the issue that many find, and even I've tripped up myself where I think, all right, I got enough people, I'm going to stop looking. That's the worst thing you can do. When you're looking at whether you're an owner or a sales manager, you have to motivate, you have to hire continuously. You're always filling in your bottom 25%. So, you can't stop looking. Now, you can't always just be the Indeed guy either, because so many people are like, oh, you know what? I got all these high school kids from Indeed. Well, that's because you asked for them.
Yeah.
I'll run into that as well, because we'll run 2 Indeed ads at once, one for sales rep and one for sales manager. And then here comes all the candidates. What I'll tell you is you have to be careful with the whole sales manager ad, but you're going to get better candidates. So when they come in, you're obviously not hiring a sales manager, but you're just going to get better people to come into your office. And you let them know, like, you know what? We are hiring for sales manager at some point. Right now, I just need to see that you are willing to get out there and do what it takes, so that your people, as you become a sales manager, if you get that role sometime down the road, that you can teach them, and you understand what we do, how we do it, and you've been successful doing it before. Now, you might have come from a place and been very successful. In my eyes, you're still brand new. Until you show me you know how to do this and you can do it, you're just a newbie to me.
Yeah. We had a great conversation earlier we do a group call with all my clients, and today was focused on sales and door-to-door specific, and it definitely, the topic came up of recruiting and hiring people, right? And it's so interesting how, when I look back, we've had, I got, I think, 15 salespeople, and we've had upwards of 20 at any given time, and there's no, I can't pinpoint one single thing that we just do over and over to get salespeople, right? We just focus on culture, focus on providing opportunity, focus on, the people that we have, like making them and developing them to be the best that they can be and providing opportunities. And then all of a sudden you just create this environment where people want to be a part of your organization. And that happens all the time. People just reach out to me, and it's a little bit, takes a while to get there, but people reach out to me. If a storm happens, oh man, I won't even have to try. We just say, hey, we need 2 people. I'll get how many direct messages? Hey, we want to come work for you. But it's that you focus on the people you have, and don't focus so much on like the people you need. And it's amazing what that does psychologically, to where it just starts attracting people. But one of the cool concept that came up is, if you're focusing on looking for character, looking for the right people that have a good vibe, that you have a good energy, that you would want to buy something from, there's people all over the place.
Yeah.
You go buy coffee, and the barista has a good attitude and a good vibe about them. Start the conversation. Hey, how long have you been doing this? What kind of money do you make? Like, set them aside, give them your card, say, hey, if I can help provide you an opportunity to take your personality, you obviously do great with people, you're a great, great personality. If I can provide you an opportunity to triple or quadruple or create a whole nother life for you and your family, would you be interested in talking? Great. Servers, go to like a high-end restaurant and you get a great server, man. People who are waiting tables, okay, don't get me wrong. Caveat, there's some lifers. There's some people that just serve tables for that. That's fine, to each their own. But the majority of people that work in restaurants, that serve and wait tables, are in some sort of transition in life. And the ones that stand out, that do a great job, that have a great vibe, that you just know, man, this person, I like this. Open up the conversation. Most of them are looking for some sort of opportunity, or they're serving to get somewhere else in life. That's a great place to start. But you got to actually put yourself out there to do the recruiting. You can't just whine and complain. I can't find the right people. When's the last time you had a conversation? When's the last time you approached somebody and opened the door? And when's the last time you took ownership of the fact that you own a company that provides opportunities for people that can change lives? That's what you do as a roofing owner. Okay, you're not a get rich quick. You have been given a gift, a blessing that you can share with others. Take ownership of that, and it's amazing what starts happening when you start attracting people to your business.
And you got a real point there. I mean, one of my favorite hires came from a car wash. I mean, I tell this story all the time. How I went up to him and say, "Man, you understand attention to detail." Everybody else here, every time I come here, they just kind of wave it around like it's a wand to dry off my car. But you took the time to actually do it. He said, "Well, I actually run the car wash." I said, "Have you ever thought about making six figures? Because I'm sure that you make about 30, 35. He says, "Oh, on a good year." I said, "Have you ever thought that maybe you're worth more?" And so, I mean, today he makes $250,000 in Georgia. I mean, it happens. You always, it's funny when sales managers think that their cards are for customers. Their cards are for potential hires. Is really what it's for. So on the back of their card, they need to have a space. Those real glossy cards should never be used for a sales manager. They should be able to, write stuff down. Hey, give me a call. This is where our office is. This is how much you can make. And get them into the office. Just have a conversation. Let them know that you're just having a conversation. Right then and there is not the time to sell them on the job. Selling them on the job is when you can show them what your guys make. Show them their paychecks. And ask them if they think that they believe in themselves.
At the American Contractor Summit, you said you're looking for superstars and rock stars.
Yeah.
So let's dive into that. What's a superstar? What's a rock star? How can you identify that?
You're going to know very quickly when one sits in front of you. People are like, "Oh, these are all the questions that I ask." I know by the way that they walk into the office. I know by the way that they sit in the seat and how they look at me. Right off the bat, I'm like, this is going to be a good interview. As long as he says the right things and I say the right things, this is going to be a match. Mm-hmm. And so typically when I start to lead off, one of my favorite questions. And it really, if I think that they're a rock star, I will not ask this question. I'm more trying to, sell them on the job itself. However, if I'm trying to figure out, is this really somebody I want to take my time with? I'll ask them this and I say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a scenario. So let's just say that you own an electric can opener company, and a guy walks in and he says, 'Hey, I'm looking for one of those crank can openers.' What do you say to the guy?" And the folks that shouldn't be in sales, they're going to say, "Well, I'm going to, tell them all about the features and benefits." And it's like, how do you know that they don't want that? I mean, you have to get to the point where, what is it that you like about that crank can opener?
Ask them why.
Yeah, exactly. When someone says, "Well, what is it about that crank can opener that you like?" I'm like, when can you start? I mean, They already understand the premise of what you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. That's really good. All right. Well, so another thing that you kind of, you spoke about as well was the disciplines of a successful salesperson. Can you dive deeper into that for us?
So first of all, honesty and integrity, but you're not going to pull that out of the interview. However, when you're interviewing somebody and you're asking them about their past jobs, which is nothing new, you're asking about their past jobs, and the only thing you're waiting on is them to tell you how bad it was. All those guys were idiots, they're morons, and at that point we're done. Or it's it just didn't work out. I had a great time. I really like my old boss. At least we can continue to move forward. That he has a good attitude. Just like Randy says, you hire for attitude and you train for skill. So all you're trying to figure out at this point is, are they confident in themselves and do they have a good attitude? At that point, I let them know that, hey, we're going to go into what I like to call the third interview, which is training. Not everybody makes it through training. And that's when we start to discuss that. You know, when people, when these potential reps see what's going to happen next, and the fact that not everybody makes it through it, it's those guys that want to be Navy SEALs, you know, that you're like, hey, not everybody makes it through this. I want to see if I got what it takes. And so it's those people that I really like to work with. When people like look at me and like, Chuck, man, you've led some of the greatest teams. No, I didn't lead some of the greatest teams. I've hired some of the greatest teams. You know, it's draft day when I go in. So when people are great leaders, they're great leaders because of the people that they have, you know, working with them. You know, they didn't have a bunch of lay down, do nothings, and they just happened to, you know, get them to wake up all of a sudden.
100%.
Great leaders are built by creating and finding and creating other great leaders. Like that's
right.
That's what leadership's all about. So we've incorporated the 3 virtues, you know, from Patrick Lencioni, and we're always looking at, you know, and it's hard to find someone with all 3, but if you can touch it, you can get 2 out of the 3, you can help with the third. But the first one is humility, right? Somebody that's humble, right? You want someone that's humility. You don't need a bunch of arrogant, you know, full of himself, you know, and that's hard to find. You got to weed through that one with salespeople, right? So there's a little confidence is one thing, but arrogance is another. So, you know, a humble confidence is key. Hungry, and that's how you find that motivation. You want to find someone who's hungry, that just has that natural, like, you know, you'll be able to pick this up pretty quick, whether they're, and you may fall flat later. You might learn more, but you want to try to pick up on any keys that identify that they are hungry, that they want to, they're going to take the initiative. They're going to solve problems. They want to make things happen and make a better life for themselves and their families. And then the third, and I think the most important one, is smart. And this isn't, did you go to college? What's your IQ? This is, how are you with people? You know, can you understand, are you people smart to a sense of, you know, are you going to be able to adapt and be able to connect with all different types of people? Because if you can have that skill, the people skill, we can teach all the rest and we can develop all the rest. So that's what we're looking for when it comes to everyone in our organization, especially salespeople.
I would also encourage everybody to do some sort of assessment, whether you're going to do an OMG assessment or a DISC assessment, something like that. And it's not that you hire and fire on it, but it does tell you a little bit about them.
Yeah.
You know, if they have a high D and high I, I mean, it's kind of a shoe-in as long as they had a good interview. But if they have a very large S, which means they're very submissive, then they're going to take no, walk out with their tail between their legs. You know, having a high C, that's fine. I mean, whether they're analytical or not, but I need to know that they still have some ego in them, that they're not going to sit and listen to no and just walk out.
You know, I look at, you know, Randy with Elite Roofing and the culture that he's established there. It's pretty impressive, you know, and it's especially with the sales team. And, you know, he rewards these salespeople, right? He takes them on team bonding trips if they hit their goals, heli skiing, all this great things. You know, you've worked with contractors all over the country with coaching, consulting, right? Has there been anything that you noticed that is consistent with company culture or approach with that type of things that helps these sales organizations thrive?
Those trips are number one. And so here's the key to these trips. And I've seen companies do them wrong. Here's how you do a trip wrong. You just take the sales rep, not their wife. That is absolutely the wrong. You have to understand who that trip is actually for. When I go on that trip, it's so that I can look at my wife and say, look what I did. You know, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't be able to be here if it weren't for what I did. I mean, they're not saying that, but that's the whole premise behind it. And you can watch these guys with their chests out, that they love where their wife gets to do this. You know, that's huge. And it's great that the wives get to meet each other as well, because when one guy's doing bad, I can guarantee you that wife's calling the other wife.
It's amazing that we learned that, you know, we've done it both ways. And the best trip we ever did was a couple of years ago, where we did a cruise. We took like 35 people on a cruise. This was before Cuba got shut down again. So we actually took our team to Cuba with their wives on a cruise for like 5 or 6 days. Man, that was such a cool trip, and like the vibe and the energy that we got out of that, and the support that everyone had from them. I mean, you got to consider, I mean, a top producing salesperson, they are working. night after night. They're coming home at 9 o'clock, coming home at 10. They're working on the weekends. Like, they are working and they are sacrificing time with their family. They're sacrificing to get themselves to that level, so that their wife and spouse is sacrificing as well. And they're like, why are you doing this job? You're never here. So you got to be cognizant of that as a leader and as an organization to, provide opportunities to really, show appreciation and gratitude for the families and the kids, because they're sacrificing as well. Same thing with like Christmas parties. Don't have a formal Christmas party where it's just just everybody dress up and act fancy no, forget that. Bring the kids, bring a Santa, have some fun, give the gifts to get, like, bring the families and get the families organized and involved. You'll see that that's a really, key element to developing that culture as well. And I always make a point to recognize the families. When we have our company party, the wives are all there. I make a point up in front of everybody when I'm doing my speech is to stand all the wives up and thank you spouses. Sorry, we got females that work there. Stand the spouses up because they are making sacrifices as well for the people that are out there busting their butt to kind of build their sales organizations.
Another thing is if you have GroupMe or Vox or something like that, what's like, you're probably hearing a couple of dings. We just had a big sale, and about 2 minutes ago it had another sale. So these things are going to start. I mean, it's ding central in this house right after 6 o'clock, because that's our big time of sales. Throughout the day, it goes on, but after 6, almost have to turn it off, because the guys are congratulating each other, posting memes, making fun of each other's sales or whatever. But we celebrate. It's GroupMe. The guys know that they're not allowed to post anything negative. If they want to post something negative, put it on a text to me or whatever. This guy sucks. That guy, that adjuster, I can't believe I just want to push him off. Whatever. But on GroupMe, this is where we pump each other up, and that's another part of our culture.
Yeah, Facebook. We just started a long time ago. We just built a Facebook group, and that thing is going off all the time. It's awesome. I sit there and just pay attention to what people are doing, and if you guys are watching, let's get some more celebration dings. I like that. I like that a lot. Like, hey, we sold a deal. Let's celebrate that. I mean, they tend to celebrate the big ones, but not on a day-to-day basis. So that's a great takeaway that I'm going to implement right away.
Well, I want to take a brief moment to thank our sponsors and make this possible. And then after that, we'll kind of go into developing sales leaders, how you can be different than everybody else in your sales presentation, and then go over some different tactics in terms of closing. So we'll start out with our headline sponsor, Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
If you have not checked out Job Nimbus yet, make sure you're doing so at info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. And up next, one of our friends for a while and one of the newer sponsors, C3 Group.
C3 Group's learning management system allows users access to digital training content, virtual trainings, and integrated chapter exams, all with the goal of helping a student prepare for user certification exams, as well as prepare them for real-world situations we know are faced daily. As a leader in this marketplace, we will continue to add value wherever possible to better our industry as a whole. Join us today and be part of that change.
So if you want to check out their virtual training platform, go to c3adjusters.com and then click on Exactment Training. It has been having great reviews. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Also, too, with another thing that they have going on, and something that they do regularly, is their charity golf event, and that'll be on May 20th. So if you're interested in golfing there, or if you are interested in sponsoring a hole or anything like that, make sure you go on their Facebook page and checking that out as well. And last but not least, our friends at Company Cam.
Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
You heard that right. Get started for free. Check them out. companycam.com/SBG show. Now back to some knowledge drops from Chuck Thokey over here. Now, Chuck, all right, this is what seems to happen, right? You have a sales guy. He dominates at selling, right? Great sales guy. And then all of a sudden he gets, promoted to sales manager, right? Because of, hey, he's great at sales. Might as well be the manager. Is this the best way to handle it, or how do you develop sales leaders?
I can't say that should never happen, but it should never happen. It's so you're going to take a racehorse, you're going to take a stallion, and then you're going to throw him into the office. I mean, it's like throwing him into the stables, and he's never allowed out ever again. And the other thing that is really tough are what I like to call working managers. I mean, if you're of any size, you should not have working managers. If that person ever sells anything, it's either because someone called in sick or somebody's riding with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that person, that sales manager, their whole job is to make sure that the sales reps are motivated, as well as held accountable and have discipline in what they do every day. That this isn't a boys club. I see this day in and day out. People laugh when I say it, but that's one of the things in the insurance industry is there are so many what I like to call boys clubs, where the guys come in, they make great money, and they just do whatever the heck they want. There's no discipline, no accountability. The leads that get sent out, no one really understands what happens to them. All they know, they gave it to Bobby. I don't know what Bobby did with it. So again, there's just no accountability, no discipline. So, when you're looking at somebody that is a rock star and they're put into that role, typically what the owner's hoping is that they're going to clone themselves, and that will never happen either. Everybody has their own personality. If this person, so I was very good before I became a sales manager, but my passion was different. Even though I was the top by far, when I was in sales, I was selling mortgages at the time. And I was by far the top guy, but selling was just kind of my second passion. I loved watching when new people come in and they were either on the verge of being broke, where people are lending them money literally, or the fact that they were in a slump and they just couldn't figure out how to get out of that slump. And I would take them under my wing, show them what I do, and then send them off. And as of today, they're still some of the biggest mortgage brokers in the country. And so again, that's my passion, is to bring somebody to a point where there's no way of them ever getting to that any other way. I mean, if I wouldn't have taken a chance, if I wouldn't have opened my mouth and say, hey, come over here, that they would probably be stocking shelves at Target. Not saying if anybody's stocking shelves at Target, not saying anything's wrong with that, but that's probably where they would be if I didn't open my mouth, or other managers across the United States that are of the same mindset.
Mm-hmm. And then, with these managers though, how are they continually developing in their role, right? And improving. What do you do to make sure that they keep getting better?
As far as the sales manager or sales rep? Sales manager. So for a sales manager, we always have to have our head in the books. There's very few people that train us, unless you're going to spend money on myself or Randy or many of these other gurus. They have to continuously up their own game, and a lot of that is free right there on YouTube. I mean, if I can't learn from anybody else, I got to get into YouTube. There's got to be somebody out there that I can listen to and say, hey, you know what? I haven't heard that before. But we have to continue to work on our game. But here's what you really need to work on is your own accountability. Because most of the time, the owners don't have time to hold you accountable. The time that the owner holds you accountable is that one time a month that they get to see you. Mm-hmm. Then they ask you, and then they find out that you haven't been doing anything for 3 weeks. They ask you, so hey, what's our NSLI today? Let me find out. That's the wrong answer. I mean, that sales manager continuously needs to have that discipline and the accountability, just like his sales reps.
100%. Now, okay, so in storm restoration, there's damage. Insurance is paying for it. They need to fix it. There's urgency, right? Now, you're known as the retail king. right? Mr. Retail King over here. I love it. So when you're giving a presentation in a retail situation, right? How are you standing out from the crowd? You know, what can you do that's unique about you, and how do you actually create some sense of urgency to close that deal right then and there?
So first of all, realize that let's say you're a GAF dealer and you have this roof in the back. Well, realize that everybody else in your area that deals with GAF also has that roof in the bag. So you have to add to it. You have to figure out how you can be different, whether it's, the materials that you use, the sealant that you use. Here's the easiest way to be different is just talk about it. Your competition, they're not saying anything. They're bringing in shingle boards. Say, well, we're going to put on an underlayment and then we're going to put on this shingle. Do you want me to go up and put that shingle on your roof for you? I mean, that's what everybody's doing, and nobody's standing out. What the other piece of this is, and especially inside of the storm industry, is nobody is doing a presentation. I have secret shops, and I still to this day have yet to have somebody other than my own team do a presentation in a house. I promise you that Bullet Roof is. I mean, and when people say, how does Bullet Roof, upgrade 60% of their jobs? They do a presentation. They do a demo. They're in there with the homeowner for 2 hours when most people are in there for about 30 minutes. Here's the scope of loss. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to give this to our supplementer. We're going to maximize this claim. And oh, by the way, all you have to do is pay just your deductible. And today I just need your ACV check. Do you have that ready for me? I mean, I could do that in 5 minutes, but to actually sit down and say, look, this is what the insurance company is putting back on your roof. Now you can go ahead and do that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't at least share with you how you can protect your house. This is the stuff that you really should be putting on. This is the new technology that's come out from the time you last shingled your roof. And let me share this with you. You know what I love inside this industry is the worst you can do is get what the insurance company's paying. Inside of retail, the worst you can do is walk out with your tail between your legs. So, I mean, and you can't lose inside of insurance. I mean, you might as well go for it. I mean, what are you going to hear? No, I'm just going to give you the ACV check today plus my deductible. Okay.
I guess.
If I have to.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I've seen some of the stuff that Bullet has, and it's awesome. I mean, we've incorporated. We have a lot of the similar things. We've incorporated that stuff as well. Yeah, and I think some of the, granted, we've been doing presentations as part of what we do is we help people develop presentations. Him and his design team have been building presentations for a lot of our clients, and they rebuilt ours recently. And it's when you have it's a minimal investment to have a top-notch designer build a presentation and I have a 7-step system we follow, and and pretty similar to what everybody does. They got a step-by-step system, but the premise of that system is, what story are you telling? What products are you selling? And what processes are you following? And how to explain those three things to a homeowner in a way that makes them feel comfortable, informs them on everything that they're going to be expecting when they work with you, with your organization. They're all but ready to close. If you can handle those three things and build a presentation that does those every time, it's game changing. And for an owner, like, I look at it from, I want to be able to, and a lot of people have a hard time transition from ownership into hiring salespeople because they're afraid that their salesperson is not going to be able to do the same job they do, right? How do you set that expectation? There's a certain amount of information that you want to make sure that every customer that buys from your company gets. Mm-hmm. How do you control that? Put it all into a presentation. Train your people on how to deliver that presentation every single time, and you'll have a much better sense of all this information is in the process is being explained to every customer every time. Granted, we've been doing presentations for years, and I'm almost nervous to ask how many guys are actually doing presentations consistently, because it's true. I mean, having it is key, right? Putting the time to have a presentation, just that single factor, it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
I got to actually do this and come up with a step-by-step system and follow something. I don't want to do that. Forget it. Here's a book and here's a roof in a bag, and here's some contracts and some shingle boards. Go be yourself and kiss babies and make things happen. Because it takes work. We as owners don't want to put the work in to create that process to then train others.
Right. And it's gotten so advanced, even our reps, sometimes I don't even have to ride with them. The presentation software that we use, I know exactly when he starts his presentation. I know how long he spends on each page. I know what pages he misses or skips over. I mean, I know everything that happened in that house just based by the numbers on the that come back for that presentation.
Wow.
Love that.
It's gotten, the technology in our industry has gotten so crazy wicked. I mean, it's fantastic what we can do from just the comfort of my home, knowing exactly what happened in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to do the guarantee at the end, the price and value guarantee, I know how long it takes to do that price and value guarantee. And if all of a sudden he's done in 30 seconds, like, there's no way you offer the price and value guarantee.
Mm-hmm. Is there any kind of aspects or things to include in the presentation that you guys want to give as advice when people are like, all right, hey, now we're trying to make people implement things on this show, right? Now they're sitting there like, I'm gonna make a presentation. Any good places to start or things that they should make sure they're including?
So first of all, keep your company story short, but make it powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make it powerful, but don't go all the way back to your grandfather's grandfather, how he started out in a beat up pig. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is how long you've been in business, how big are you? Is my warranty still going to be, good here in 15 years because you're going to be in business?
Yeah.
The next thing is, how do you give back? Now, here's the mistake that many people, and I wish I could just pull it up on the screen. How many people do this is they'll just show a logo and they'll say, well, we give back to the Red Cross and just a little bit of every sale we give to that's not a make me cry story. You have to really bring a make me cry story. If I could pull our presentation up, we do the Dragonfly Foundation. And so there's a video inside of, because of our quote or our presentation software, it plays these videos so well, rather than in PowerPoint, sometimes it'll stick. But inside of ours, it plays so well so that the video for Dragonfly Foundation starts. It's one of our owners holding up a big check, us giving, $8,000 or $20,000 that year. And then it goes through a little bit about Dragonfly. Now, here's the key is nobody's talking except for me. So I'm not just letting the video play and then, stopping it and moving on. So it's a very soft song, and it's all these kids. So here's the Dragonfly Foundation in a nutshell: is kids come from out of town. They have cancer or incurable diseases, comes into Cincinnati Children's, and their families are displaced. They're in hotels all over town with nothing to do. The Dragonfly Foundation comes in, they take these families in, sports players come in, they have all these activities for these kids and the family. But while this video's playing, I'll look up and the wife is tears. I mean, they might as well just write the check, and it's not just because of that, but it's just, they like the fact that, it's emotion, because selling is emotion, but you're going to give an effort and how you're going to talk about how you give back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I just looked up that a pretty amazing foundation for sure. This Dragonfly Foundation. That's awesome. Now, as we kind of bring this to close, one of the last things I kind of wanted to talk about was the closes, right? Is there any kind of closes? I mean, I know you mentioned one that I remember, the goodnight kiss, man. And I'm always trying to figure out how to get that goodnight kiss. And I can't seem to get it done. So tell us a little bit about, that, or if there's any other closes you want to talk about.
So the goodnight kiss, and I'll get into some of these others real quick, but the goodnight kiss, ultimately, just jumping ahead, is just doing everything right. It's just not, you can't just get to the end of the night and just expect a goodnight kiss from, this first date. It's everything you did throughout the night. So, just like Randy mentioned, those 7 steps all have to be done and have to be done to the best of your ability. It's not just, all right, I went through my trial close, I can go ahead. No, you have to do the trial close, make sure that you're getting that customer's commitment so that you can go into a price presentation. So then, when you're going into training, here's where you're going to know if you like this person or not. When I tell people that only certain people, a certain number of people actually make it through training, they only make it through the first 2 days, because the first thing that we train is our price presentation. And if I'm listening to this person and I'm like, there is no way I will ever buy anything from this. They gave me a great interview, but them giving that price presentation, I'll never buy anything from them. Then I need to let them go. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. They have the night to work on it. They know how serious the first night is. And when they come in and it's just like, it's no better than it was yesterday. I know you didn't work on this. I'm looking for superstars and rock stars. It's time for us to just part ways. Or that person comes in and just blows you away. But the first thing that I train them is that price presentation. People ask, why would you do that? It's because if that's the hardest thing we do is to give price. It's the hardest thing we do. And if they can't do that, then I'm just definitely not going to teach them all the proprietary things about our company.
That's a good point.
And so when you're talking about closing is just a natural conclusion of a great presentation or great appointment. When people ask me, what's your favorite close? I say, fair enough. That's my favorite close.
Yeah.
Now there's rebuttals. If let's say that, you're bringing out your different packages, you're selling it based on the insurance, but yet you have these different packages and someone says, man, that's just more than I can afford. Okay. When you say it's more than you can afford, Nick, how do you mean? And people say, well, I've got my daughter, it's getting married. My son's graduating for college. I mean, I just can't afford it right now. Okay. When you say you can't afford it right now, then that means that there is a certain time when you can afford it. When will that be? Well, I'm getting a big bonus in the fall. So what you're telling me, Nick, is if I was sitting in front of you in October, after you've gotten this check, you're telling me that we would have been doing business right now? Yeah. All right. Well, that's fair enough. And I can't wait to do business with you. Let me ask you, if there was a way that I could go ahead and we could get this thing done now with the system that you want, not the system that you can afford right now, but the system that you want, and we can go ahead and get it installed right now. And I don't even want any money from you other than the ACV and your deductible. I don't want anything else from you until you get that money. Is that something that would even interest you? And they're like, well, of course, but how would you do that? Well, we have a partner, a trade partner that will go ahead and cover that. And obviously it's a no interest, no payment. So I don't need any payment from you until you get there, until you get that extra cash. But that's, I don't even need it then, to tell you the truth, because I mean, this is a 12-month no-no. So not only do I not need it then, I'm going to make sure that this is a comfortable investment for you, that you're never cussing my name out when I'm passing you at Kroger's. I need you. I want to make sure that you have the other 6 months to make sure that you can get that money together. So if that was something that was available to you, would that be something of interest to you? And they're like, well, yeah, I just need your driver's license. We'll go ahead and get you signed up. Again, always have something to say. Where sales go dead is where you lose technique. When you have that thing that you just weren't expecting, the person that says, well, I mean, you're the first person that's out. Hopefully, if you're in an insurance situation, you're not going to have somebody that says, well, we're going to have 3 other estimates. Because, I mean, for the amount of work you've already put in, I don't have you coming across the table at the customer. But, with then retail, I mean, you hear that all the time. Well, we're going to get 3 other estimates. Okay, I totally understand. We're going to concede first. I totally understand. Which takes them from here to, all right. And so after that, then we're going to get into where I want to find the information from. So I understand that you need you either need a night or you need to go ahead and get 3 other estimates. So let's just say that it's going to take you, 5-6 days to get these other estimates. Let's just say here in 7 to 10 days, you're going to put all these estimates on the table. What is your criteria for picking the right estimate for you? What's the criteria that you're going to be looking for? Is it price? Is it quality? You're hoping they say everything. So it's value. It's everything all put together. It's value.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you're going to take them down that road and take it to the point where you're saying, so if you know that we have the right value, you know that you can afford what we have, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. When I tell you that I'm going to give you 30 days, or I'm going to give you up until the day that we put this roof on to go ahead and shop us out, that you're not going to find anybody that does exactly what we do and exactly how we do it for less. And so, that's when the customer like, oh, it makes sense. Well, doesn't it also make sense to go ahead and check this box? I know you guys are busy people. That's usually when the wife looks over at the husband. They're like, yeah, we're busy. Why am I going to sit through 3 more of these?
Exactly.
I appreciate the role play as well you gave us. I ask for that all the time in the show. No one ever gives it to me.
I do it all day long.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, for sure.
And I think the key here too is you want to direct the conversation to payments and terms and those sort of things versus yes or no. I mean, if you can get someone talking about interest rates or payments or deferred payments or no interest or whatever, I mean, your chance of closing that deal should be done. Like, as long as you have somewhat technique and some sort of a skill set, and you've done a decent enough job to present everything, it's all but details at that point. They've all but committed,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So as we bring this thing to a close, Chuck, you've been awesome to have on. And real quick, actually, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Chuck?
They can jump on to mycoachchuck.biz. They can also find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I know most people will usually contact me through Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And I'm going to throw your link too on the comments so that way people have it. But we always end it with a golden nugget. Okay, that you want to leave the viewers with. It could be something to implement, something to avoid, whatever it might be. Just a gold nugget you want to leave them with. But I make sure Randy goes first, so you have some time to think about your gold nugget. So Randy, for the 140th time, what we got? What's your gold nugget?
I feel like I kind of need to talk about, in the context of sales and closing and that sort of thing. And I think where is elementary as it sounds, the biggest failure point for salespeople is they just don't freaking ask. You got to ask for the sale. Okay. You know, we're so empathetic and, and I get that you want to be empathetic and care, but like half of sales are lost because you don't ask. Just ask. You get to that point, you got to ask for the sale. Don't ever leave a table without asking for the sale.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chuck?
So I get asked all the time by either my reps or other reps that I'm training is, how can I be a top rep? And they're usually, newer reps. How can I be a top rep? Here's the number one way to be a top rep, other than just knuckling down and studying. Find the top person in your company and ride with them. Don't sit there and ask the manager, hey, can you put me in the passenger seat with this person? And call them up. If it's like with us here, it's Aaron Zizzo or Tim Whitener. And I'll always ask, hey, Tim, Aaron, how many of these guys have asked to ride with you? None. That's a freaking problem.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? If you're going to ask me how you can be a top rep, and there's 2 top reps right there, you can go out with them. And I know you had all day, but you decided to wash your car instead. I mean, when you ask me how I became a top rep, I went and found the best person I knew. I became that person. Then I figured out how to be better than that person. That's how you become a top rep.
Boom.
Yep.
Chuck, man.
I did the same thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us, man, on episode 140 of the Start Build Grow Show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Later, everybody.